a silent scream. Heartbeat loud in the in-between. World asleep but my mind won't rest. Standing right on tomorrow's edge. Numbers fall and the candles shake. Every risk is a step I take. No applause and no safety net. Just a promise I haven't met. I've been down where the doubt is loud. I've been lost in the digital crowd. But the signal cuts through the noise and it pulls me now. I'm standing on tomorrow's edge. I jump anyway. No guarantees, but I'm on my way. If I fall, I rise. That's the game I play. Tomorrow's edge. I jump anyway. Late night glow from a silent screen. Heartbeat loud in the in-between. World asleep but my mind won't rest. Standing right on tomorrow's edge. Numbers fall and the candles shake. Every risk is a step I take. No applause and no safety net. Just a promise I have. I've been down with it loud. I've been lost in the digital crowd. But the signal cuts through the noise and it pulls me now. I'm standing on tomorrow's edge. I jump anyway. No guarantee, but I'm on my way. If I fall, I rise. That's the game I play. Tomorrow's edge. I jump anyway.
Yes, let's go, legends. Hope you are all having a fantastic Wednesday. Nice and chilly here in South Africa at the moment. Yes, and for those of you that don't know, I am from South Africa. I'm not from Dubai. I still get a lot of messages from people saying, hey Devil, how's it going there in Dubai? I am not in Dubai, guys. I do travel to Dubai a lot, okay, but I am not based in Dubai. I'm in sunny South Africa, and I know there's a couple of people watching this stream that is also from South Africa. I also know about a couple of big YouTube channels that are based in Cape Town in South Africa as well, but nonetheless, guys, it doesn't matter. Hope you're all having a fantastic day. Remember to smash up that like button on your way in. There is something very serious we need to discuss over here. Okay, as per the thumbnail, I know this is on everyone's mind. It's floating around all over social media, and I mean, we can't deny that it has been playing out to perfection. it's, they say the market doesn't rhyme, but it repeats. Or the market doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. But I mean, this rhyme, this little poem over here is rhyming very, very, very nicely over here. Okay, I'm sure everyone is aware of this little fractal that is doing the rounds on social media. During 2022, when we had this big collapse here to the downside, look how similar it is, guys. And this is the moment, okay? Because I know there's die-hard believers in this fractal at the moment, where people are just saying it's going to play out exactly the same. Whether you believe it or not, it's just going to play out exactly the same. And price is now here. Do you guys see the similarity? You have the three-wave structure, and now price has made a lower high. Exactly the same as the fractal. Okay? Lower high. That's where price is at the moment. So if you're a believer in the fractal, well, this is where you're supposed to short. This is where you go in with your entire savings. You sell your house, you stay in a tent in your parents' garden or something. Okay? You sell everything, and this is where you short. Please, guys, this is not financial advice. Please do not do what I'm telling you to do. I encourage you to do your own research, practice your own risk management, okay? But, just a message, because I get a lot of messages, hate messages from people as well, saying that, yeah, well, it's going to play out exactly the same. Well, then I hope you are in a short, and I hope that you do make a lot of money here to the downside. Okay, we have some important news coming out today. This is just basically that fractal. Let me just take it here out the way. Right, let's close this. We have some very important news coming out today. For those of you that don't know, we have some important news. Okay, inflation data, month on month, year on year, is coming out 2:30 my time, which is 1:30 Central European time, if I'm not mistaken, because we don't have daylight savings here in South Africa. So in the winter, times align, and then now during this time there's an hour between Central European and my time, but I think we are GMT +2, if I'm not mistaken, the time zone here in South Africa. But basically 2:30 my time, and it's now almost, it's 10 to 11 o'clock here in South Africa. There's some important news coming out, and I do think that maybe price is still going to stick around consolidating before we get the big move. Okay, maybe the market is waiting for the news. Right, guys, and now the question is history going to repeat? Is history going to repeat? Because this looks really, really bad here to the downside. This looks, okay, this looks really bad here to the downside. But that is the moment you have a three-wave structure, price falls, it makes a lower high, and it continues to the downside. And now the question is history going to repeat? So if you are a believer in this fractal, because it has been playing out almost to perfection, like 99% to perfection, okay, this is the moment. This is the moment where people need to be looking for shorts, I suppose. I will say hi to the community in a moment. Okay. Also, when we look at the anchored VWAPs, it almost feels too good to be true. Okay, it's just repeating so beautifully. You rejected from the anchored VWAP, three-wave structure, you fell. Again, okay, rejected at the anchored VWAP, and now the question is it going to fall? And how far can it fall? So maybe I'm going to spend some time to tell everyone, well, if this had to play out, what are the targets? What are the longing zones that I am looking at, scooping up a little bit more Bitcoin here to the downside? It almost feels too good to be true. Guys, I would really love for the price to rally, when I'm bearish, because I sometimes, I read even the comments on Andy's live streams, and some people make comments to say that Andy is a great technical analyst, but it's just a pity he's so bearish. Guys, it's not about being bearish or bullish, okay? It's about trading the structure in front of you, because I can tell you guys now, Andy has played longs, I have played longs, I've played shorts inside of this entire range, okay? You also have to respect the structure. you have made lower highs, you are making lower lows. The trend is your friend until the end, and based on the structure to the downside, it makes sense to be bearish, because there's nothing inside of this structure at the moment that screams bullishness at the moment. So technically it makes sense to be bearish, especially on the higher time frame. If you're trading the 5-minute, 15-minute time frame, you can be a bull and a bear in the same day. It doesn't matter. I'm bullish this morning, I'm bearish this afternoon. I'm looking for a short, I'm looking for a long in the same day. So I'm a bull and a bear in the same day. But on the higher time frame, guys, this is bearish. Okay, you still have lower highs and lower lows. The trend is your friend until the end. From a simplicity perspective, momentum needs to start shifting. There's your trend. Okay, let's be a little bit bearish today and say, guys, there's nothing bullish about this structure, okay, unless momentum can start to shift. Then you can say, okay, wait, hang on a second, now things starts looking better. Momentum needs to shift, okay? Once momentum starts to shift, it can still be a fake out and you fall to the downside, we all know, but that's at least a sign, a little glimmer of hope that the bulls are taking control. Whether it's going to be a fake out, it could also be a breakout, and then you make a higher high. Now that's going to look great. Once the structure starts to change, where you form a higher high, you have a breakout tick number 1. You have a higher high tick number 2. This is what big players are looking at. They are looking at macro daily, a higher time frame structures to start changing. Then higher low, continuation, and you join the next move to the upside. That's where the opportunity lies. Okay. And I mean, on the daily time frame, this is still going to take a while to play out. From a bearish case perspective, okay, price either just, as per the fractal, it falls from here, or maybe we come back to the trend. We have an order block. Beautiful order block, by the way, there that aligns with the trend. So if by some miracle price still finds a little bit of upwards momentum here, that is in zone where I will be looking for a short. Because I know, you tap, you maybe tap, even get a little bit of a fake out, you start trading below the trend, that's a sign of weakness to take the low. We've all seen these little fake outs happen on the smaller time frames, and it can happen on the larger time frames as well. Okay. And in a nutshell, this is how I plan to trade. Okay, I'm already positioned as per last week's live stream. I'm already positioned in a short. I've taken 80% of the profits here at the bottom already. So I still have 20% running. I will add to that position based on what the local structure shows me. Okay, but for now, I'm just leaving it as is. But guys, make no mistake, if price does decide to start pumping here to the upside, that is where I will be looking for a short. That is my plan, here to the upside. Okay, yesterday, the saying of the day was, do you have a plan? Maybe I'll come up with something different today. Okay, I want to say, because I know I know there's a couple of haters out there as well. I want to say, well, if you believe in the fractal, why are you not shorting? Okay, because some people just like to argue to say, between the bull and the bear market. No, this is only the start of the bear market. We're going down to $30,000. Okay, and some people will say, no, the ABC is done, right? The bull market is continuing, guys. The correction is done. ABC, it's done. High amount of volume, fear and greed hit record lows at the moment. So you have that divide at the moment where some people say it's up from here, and some people are saying, no, we're still going, we're going to repeat that fractal, and then we're going to go up. So you have the divide at the moment. And my question to those people are always, well, if you were right, because some of you are going to be right, and some of you are going to be wrong, but did you make money? Did you trade what you believed in? Did you trade your thesis? Okay, because I think, it frustrates me sometimes how people argue, okay, with each other about this. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. Did you make money? If you made money, then it matters. Okay. Right, guys, I know I feel like I'm talking a little bit of psychology over here, but let's go through some comments, okay? Before we dive in, we've got big news coming out today, and perhaps the market is just waiting, okay, for that big news. I'm going to zoom into the smaller time frame. We're going to look at the local structures. What are the probabilities? What can be forming? And let's go through. Well, let me go through the comments. Say hi to everyone before we continue. I see Mr. A Trader here in the house. Just beat me. Good morning, lovely legends. Tap the like button. Yes, if you haven't tapped the like button just as yet, remember to smash that like on your way in. And right, this is where we do pure technical analysis. Mariela, welcome to the live stream. Grabbing some popcorn, watching the stream here. Okay, do it. It's free. Yes, yes, yes. I always appreciate the mods here being in the house. Mr. Jack, always see you here in the live stream. Welcome. Here comes my jam. Oh, the nice song that played during the intro. Yes, I really like that song, I must say. Okay, it's also a song that I listen to in the background while I'm trading. Okay. Demon Short, Morning Devil, welcome, welcome. Better find assets like that. It's a bear market. We have to be bearish, lol. Trend is our friend. Yes. Technically, it makes sense to be bearish. Okay, not because I want to be bearish. Guys, I've got spot bags as well. Remember, I have spot bags. I want price to go up. But based on technicals, it doesn't look great. Okay, so all I can do, for me personally, from an investment perspective, is buy the dips. You buy the dip, I buy the dip, and if it makes another dip, I will buy the dip. But this is where I like to buy. I like to buy when price is falling down because then it means I'm getting discount on the asset. This is not where you buy. This is not where you buy. You know, a fear and greed index was at extreme greed here at the tippy tops. Okay. Or in greed territory. I'm not sure. I can't remember if it was extreme greed, but it was in greed territory. I cannot add anything to my spot bags, especially aggressively when the fear and greed index is at greed. I don't. Okay. I like to add, especially when there's extreme fear. And whether we make another low, then I'll add, and I will be a little bit more aggressive with this drop here to the downside. Okay, I can only share with you guys what I would do from a market perspective, but I am going to add very aggressively to the next dip if it does come. I've already added a little bit aggressively over here, okay, from a spot perspective inside of this zone. And make no mistake, if the fractal plays out, that is a buying opportunity. Okay, it's discount. You know, it's like getting Bitcoin, the thing that you've always wanted, because, you know, I'm a Bitcoin maxi, and if I can get it on discount, okay, this is a nice little discount at the moment. It is from the all-time high to where price is now. That's a 44% discount. You know, if you like a pair of sneakers and you're going to the shop and they say it's 44% discount, you got to think twice, you know, like maybe I should buy those sneakers. I mean, you know, this opportunity doesn't come always. And if the sneakers are at 66% discount, then you buy 2 or 3 pairs. Okay, if it's at 40% discount, maybe you buy 2 pairs or 1 pair. Guys, I know I'm just having fun over here, but that's basically in a nutshell how I approach the markets. Okay, it's just that, you know, on a more serious note, for me, it's important to buy when no one wants to buy. When everyone is screaming for a bear market and price going to $30,000, I like to buy when it's uncomfortable to buy. That is what's kept me profitable from an investment and a traded perspective. Okay, so please, guys, I encourage you to do your own research. Don't do what I'm doing. I'm just a crazy dude here on YouTube sharing with you how I approach the markets. Okay, because I remember buying over here. And for those of you like Mariela here on the live stream, Mr. Jack, I know there's a lot of you here in the live stream. You remember when I did live streams here on my channel, okay, before I joined forces with Andy, I bought Ethereum, I bought Link, I bought a couple of altcoins here as well, and I bought Bitcoin because no one wanted to buy. And I was just like, I have to follow. It was uncomfortable. I'm not going to lie. It's uncomfortable. You're just like, you know, 5-wave move up. How do I even consider buying here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Impulse could be done. We could be starting the bear market with this little drop here to the downside. Fear and greed was in extreme fear. when we made these lows. But I have to follow my trading rules, and my investment rule says when no one wants to buy and there's blood in the streets, you buy. And we got the move here to the upside. I actually made a lot of money with Ethereum with this little pump. I think I made most of my money with Ethereum. And the two alts that made me the most money was XRP and Ethereum. I can't remember if I bought XRP here or if I bought XRP here. I need to go and check my journal. But right, I still got some spots running on those two bags, but I have taken significant profits from ETH and XRP, especially from XRP. Okay, so guys, now the question, okay? Let's now, before I go, and let me just put myself back here onto the right-hand side, okay? Before I dive into the smaller time frames, because I know you are all very interested in the smaller time frames, okay? Now, this is the range we want to trade from a day trading perspective. So, if the fractal, I just want to talk about the fractal again. If that fractal is going to play out again, and we're going to get now this drop here to the downside, where am I looking for along? Okay, I think that's now the most important question for me, even as from a technical perspective. Like, what if the fractal plays out? Do I have a plan? Like I said yesterday, I have a plan to short over here if price continues. Okay, but do I have a plan here at the downstairs if this fractal is going to play out? And the scenario that makes the most sense to me is, let me see if I have it here. Well, I do have it here. I just need to find it. Guys, I'm going to get there because I don't want to redraw it now. Okay, here we go. Is this one. So you have to, because another structure doesn't really make sense over here. So I'm just going to try and keep it simple. Since this high, you have to consider that that was the high from a 4-year cycle perspective. Okay. And then this structure can be counted as an A, B, C in a wave W. You have a 3-wave structure in a wave X, which was a WXY. We all know that this structure was a WXY. Okay. And now you have another A wave to the downside. So you basically, inside of your Y, you have to form a 3-wave structure. A, B, C. Okay. And this, from the tippy top, this WXY, the WXY, this little Y has targets. And if those targets align with other areas of confluence on the chart, that's where I get very interested. Sorry. Okay. I know I'm always interesting, but that's where I get interested in the longs. Okay. So there's 2 ways in which you can calculate this, and then we will align it with areas of confluence. The first way to do it is regular scale. Okay, I'm sticking here to the regular scale because I do like to use the logarithmic on the higher time frames, like the daily. So we're going to, just quickly see, well, where does these targets align? You take a trend. So this is the method that they teach you in Elliott wave theory to measure the Y wave target is you take it from the top of W to the end of W to the end of X. Guys, and it's not perfect. Usually I use magnets and stuff to snap it on properly. I just want to get more or less an idea. Okay. The 786 is a Y wave target, and look at how beautiful we swinged the 786. We also got that rejection at the 786. And I will show you here in the local structure, we also got another rejection at the 786. WXY, WXY, 786, WXY, 786, but this Y can also extend to the 1 extension, which is a very common Y wave target. So $52,000, 220 is definitely a zone that I will be paying attention to. Because I know, okay, that this is a very common Y wave target. This little box is also a very common Y wave target box, okay? And the 1.618, not so common for a Y wave. It's not common at all, okay? So you guys can see it's quite a big zone from $52,000 all the way to $34,000. So this leg can get very aggressive. So what I will be looking at on the 15-minute, 1 hour time frame is for price to slow down. Price, so it's just from a technical perspective, I want price to fall, okay, and slow down. When it starts consolidating, like when it starts doing that, that's where I get interested. Okay. Right, so price, I don't like to catch, so and there's two hats that I'm wearing here, is that from a spot perspective, I will just buy whether it waterfalls or not, because, it's just from a long-term perspective. But from a trading perspective, I will wait to see a sign of strength, like what happened here. Maybe you get an SFP, you can get in with great risk management. Okay, now I also want to look at, well, does that zone have confluence? So I want to just take a horizontal level over here and snap it here onto the 1-to-1 extension. And I have said during a couple of live streams already, guys, that little pivot to me looks very interesting. That little pivot looks very interesting. It has confluence with a 1-to-1 extension, which is a Y-wave target. There is also a weekly level down there. Okay, when I start switching on my levels, I know it looks messy, but I'm just looking at, you will see in that zone, you have a weekly level. So you do have support. So what I will be looking at is something like that. So from a trading perspective, if price had to fall down and it starts trading above, well, that for me is a longing opportunity because I know where to put my stop loss. It's basically a swing failure strategy from that pivot. Between that pivot, there's not much happening until you get to $41,000. And that's why I'm going to be very careful with how I trade if price waterfalls to the downside. Okay, I almost want to say this is a no trading zone. As long as price is inside of this zone, I'm not interested in a trade. I will definitely add to my spot bags because that's just what I'm going to do, especially, fear and greed goes back into extreme fear. Maybe we make another record below 5. A little bit further down, okay, let's say price, guys, we have to play out worst case scenarios. What if price just absolutely waterfalls to the downside, slices like a hot knife through butter, does not respect the 1-to-1 extension? Well, you can see that this 1.236 also has confluence with a weekly level. So you guys can see I'm just using my levels in order for me to execute the trade. And depending on what happens, I can get in with good risk management. So here's my plan, guys. $41,000, 500, okay, which is basically that consolidation area that's going to provide support, or an SFP from that pivot. Okay, you could go crazy and say, well, I'm going to use that pivot as well. Okay, maybe because what could happen is price dips below, and gets acceptance back above, does not tap this level. So however you want to trade it, but I have my plan. My plan is that pivot, maybe that pivot, and this weekly level over here. So I specifically wanted to address the trading plan here at the bottom because I see everyone is talking about that fractal. Okay, sorry guys, I deleted it now by mistake. Okay, where price is going to waterfall here to the downside. So that is basically my plan here to the downside. My plan to the upside, you all know. Okay, I know guys, it looks messy when I switch on my levels, and I have many levels, and I recommend that you have these levels for yourself as well, because swing failure strategy is one of my favorite strategies to trade at the moment, because I can lose so little even when I'm wrong, or get stopped out with profits. It's one of my favorite strategies to trade because it keeps me profitable even when I'm wrong. But it's not an easy strategy. It looks easy when I explain it, but when, and I see people in the community as well, when they actually trade the swing failure strategy, they realize, oh, this is not so easy. It looks easy when Devil explains it and when Andy talks about it, but it's not so easy. And I can almost guarantee you the reason it is not easy is because some people risk too much money. Okay, if you're getting heart palpitations when you enter a trade, you have to look at your position size. Because if you're uncomfortable with a loss, it means you're risking too much. And I'm just talking from my own experience when I started out. When I go to bed and I can't fall asleep and I have heart palpitations, you wake up to go to the bathroom, the first thing you do is check your phone. Those were the days where I risked too much. And sometimes you get lucky, but when you're wrong, you blow a big hole in your account. Okay. Just to show everyone, I mean, guys, it looks like an absolute spaghetti mess over here with all the levels, okay? Because swing failure patterns are one of my favorite strategies to trade, so I have to have these levels ready on my chart. And the higher the time frame, like daily, okay, is okay. You get nice reactions from the dailies. The point of controls work also nice, especially from a day trading perspective. But the higher the time frame, the more weight these levels carry. Okay, and this is why I'm specifically looking at the weekly levels if we do get a capitulation here to the downside. I'm looking at the weekly levels. By the way, we also have a weekly level there that's still untapped, but I'll discuss that one on the smaller time frames. So that is my plan. Remember to smash up the like button if you do like the plan. Maybe you don't like the plan, but you know, I'm just sharing with you my plan. Do you have a plan? I think that's going to be the saying for today as well. Okay. Do you have a plan? Because it doesn't matter what happens. I have a plan. Right, guys. And then just to wrap it up here on the higher time frame, if price, for some reason, because I see that there's a lot of people also still bullish. I still see a lot of influencers talk, and there's one specific person that is, I don't want to mention any names. I'm just trying to find the right words. Well respected within the trading industry. There's one specific person that is extremely well respected within the trading industry. And he, okay, is calling for $85,000 without claiming the low. If that scenario had to play out where price does not claim the low and we do start moving up here, well, the first zone I'm going to be paying attention to is that order block. Okay? Because that's also in alignment with the trend. That is definitely an area where you can get a rejection. And then you basically just formed a larger three-wave structure and you still have the chance to take the low again. So maybe, just maybe, that fractal will get invalidated, confuse everyone, but still fall to the downside. So if price stops me out from this short that I'm in at the moment, well, I'm looking for another short here in that order block. I just want to quickly jump through time frames just to see if what type of order block that is. Yeah, I mean, guys, that's a daily order block. I don't think it makes any sense on the 12-hour. Yeah, you basically have a daily order block over there. So let me slot it in here. I don't want to forget about that. Okay, and this is usually how I do order blocks, because I'm going to discuss another order block on the lower time frame. So that is, let's give it a name, daily order block. Daily order block. Do not want to forget about that one. Okay, make it red. I like to make my resistance red and I like to make my support green. It's just the colors that I enjoy trading with. Okay, so 85K. Where's 85K? Let's go mark out 85K. Guys, I'm not sure if it's going to get to 85K because it's going to have to get through this area of resistance. Okay, it's going to have to smash the trend. It's going to have to break out. 85K is basically the underbelly resistance over here. Okay, that's basically your 85K level right over there. So will I be looking for a short? Of course, I will be looking for a short, especially when you're hitting resistance. Because this could be a fake out. And I think if this had to happen where price does go to 85K, okay, it's the retracement that's going to be very interesting. Because, you know, maybe you do get the rejection, but it rejects in a three-wave structure. You have the trend. It forms, can you guys see what it will form? It will form a bullish pennant. I want to see price form a bullish pennant, okay, not get acceptance back inside of the trend. It needs to form that bullish pattern, and then there is your opportunity to join the move. Because this could turn out to be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Forms a 5-wave structure, 3-wave correction, okay, build your little bullish pennant. That is where I'm looking for the opportunity. So depending on how the structure unfolds, I'll know exactly how to trade it. Hopefully, okay? I don't want to use the word exactly. There will be a high probability in terms of how I will approach the trade. Okay. But that's basically what I'll be looking for. Now, let's dive back here into the 1 hour time frame. Okay, now let's look at this structure. I wanted to look at the logarithmic targets as well, but I've been spending too much time on this chart. I want to keep it moving, Okay. Okay, I'm going to throw this into my stuff over here. And I'm just going to close all of this. Right, so we have the daily order block. Now we need to talk bearish, guys. And this is also the reason why I highlighted the fractal. Because here on the 1 hour time frame, the structure does not look great. Okay, the one thing I want to point out, now that we're starting with the structure, is price got acceptance back inside the range. So it really does not look good for the bulls at the moment. They need a miracle, and maybe the inflation data today is going to give them the miracle if it comes out good. Okay, price got acceptance back inside of the range. And usually when price gets acceptance back inside the range, you go and visit the bottom. And now you had a deviation on top. So logically, you want price to come back down to the bottom. Maybe it loses it, maybe it bounces again, and the range just bloody continues. You have a deviation, you go to the top. You have another deviation, you go back to the top. You have a deviation, you go back to the bottom. So basically, the range continues. So this can still morph into something larger. Okay, remember guys, you have a 3-wave at the moment. Here you have a 3-wave structure in a WXY, however you want to count this. Okay. WXY does make more sense. But once you have a 3-wave structure, this can morph into A. So if the correction is going to continue, not take out the low, well, then you must label this an A. And then you can do a B. And then you can do a C to the upside. And then you just basically form a larger 3-wave structure. But make no mistakes, I will be trading this range, okay, because I've had a couple of successful trades in the side of this range already. So, from a bearish perspective, I must give kudos to the bears at the moment. Technically, the bears are winning the battle at the moment. You had the deviation and price is now trading below the value area high, which increases the probabilities that you could go down to the bottom again. Okay, so technically it actually looks better to look for shorts. For the bulls, you have a low, you have a high. You have a higher low and you have a higher high. And you still have a higher low over here. So for the bulls, this is the most important low that needs to be protected, because now you have a lower high. So the bulls have to protect this low. Price, for the bulls to win this battle, price needs to make a higher low and continue. So if you are bullish, this is where your invalidation goes. If you are bearish, well, that's where your invalidation goes, unless you unless you want to de-risk your position. But I mean, I can't tell you guys how you need to manage your risk. Okay guys, I'm getting there. I'm working my way down into the smaller time frames. Okay, you can say A is ZZ. Joan, you can say A is ZZ, so you can double yes, there can also be a WXY. I agree. We can count this as a double zigzag. Yes. Hi Devil, your analysis was spot on yesterday. How do you get your areas daily, weekly? I will see if I have time, maybe during later in this live stream, if I can quickly show you guys how to do daily, weekly point of controls and so forth. Okay, so now guys, let's zoom in. Okay, so you can see from a higher time frame perspective, everything does unfortunately scream bearishness, even if price still continues to the upside. Okay, so now this is what a lot of people are interested in now. What is happening here? Okay, if we look at this entire structure, what is happening here? So I want to do some analysis here on this local structure to see if I can identify some trading opportunities locally that I could potentially take either today or tomorrow. Okay, so as per the comment, yes, yesterday in the live stream, I highlighted one specific level, and it was this one. Do you guys remember in yesterday's live stream? I said, guys, this is where I'm looking for a short. And price was here when I did the live stream. It fell to the downside. And then we rejected that little pivot. I was keeping an eye on that pivot and the 786. Where did we get the rejection? And I told everyone, if we're going to front run this zone that everyone is watching, because a little bit further up, we have a daily level and a naked point of control. And I said, what the market loves to do is when it wants to front run a zone that a lot of people are eyeing, I think this is where it's going to happen. And that's where price got the rejection. Okay, so I'm not sure if any of you caught this short to the downside. And I know, guys, it wasn't an easy short because while price was chopping this little level over here, there was insane bullish CVD building up as well. Someone also asked me in the community, Devold, how can you enter a short when there's bullish CVD? Or how can you enter a long when there's bearish CVD? Because I can get in with good risk management, because I have seen CVD invalidate itself. Remember, guys, CVD is only 74% accurate. There's no perfect indicator. And sometimes things looks bullish as hell, and then it still falls to the downside and I can make money. And then with these little bounces, it starts creating bearish CVD. Strange how the market sometimes works is that it falls here to the downside, it makes bullish CVD against these pivots, and then when it starts consolidating, creating a range, it starts building bearish local CVD. And I'll show you guys now on CVD what I saw. Okay, but yes, I mean, according to yesterday's stream, this was the level that I was watching for, and we got the rejection. And from a bearish perspective, price has now formed a lower high. We are back inside of the range. So, you know, if you missed this short, there was an opportunity to get back in. So, from a simplicity perspective, when I look at all the levels and I switch on my stuff, okay, I just want to switch on my stuff just to keep it very simple. I want to, you know, without explaining it in Elliott wave theory, because I know Elliott wave theory can be daunting and confusing for some people, is these are the levels that I am watching. So this red little box, just want to show everyone if that pops up. Okay, that red little box, yesterday I discussed and I said there's an 8-hour order block inside of this zone. Okay, price rejected at the 786. If you wanted to be sniper, you claimed the liquidity above the high and you fell to the downside. Now here at the bottom, we have another order block, which is now potentially going to provide support. Okay, so I just want to take the time flip out the way just to clean up the chart a little bit. Okay, so from a simplicity perspective, I'm looking still for a short in this zone if price wants to continue up, because for the bears, price needs to form a lower high for that fractal to play out. Okay, so for that fractal to play out, that is either your high or maybe it does that and then it rejects. But you do not want that high to be claimed for the bears. So if that fractal is going to play out to perfection, price needs to form a lower high and not take this high. And this is a very interesting area where you need to be looking for, well, where I am looking for shorts. Okay. I'm already positioned in a short over here. Okay, that was a beautiful short, by the way, as well. Okay, depending on whether you have another account to trade with, because you know I can't place two shorts on the same account, but I do have multiple accounts that I'm trading with. Right, so if price still comes back up, I'm still interested in a short in this zone. Okay, I will discuss this order block over here, but that's a potential longing opportunity because you could get this bounce that rejects here. You form a larger three-wave structure. It falls to the downside. Okay, three-wave, you basically have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have a three-wave corrective structure. You take the low. It's as simple as that. This is why I'm still looking for a short if this remains a three-wave structure and it comes back up. Okay, and then to the bottom, if price continues to fall here, well, the only level I can see here to the bottom, I just want to switch on my weekly levels as well. There we go. Okay. Oh, and by the way, guys, together with this order block, there's also that weekly point of control. Yes, we have broke. You can see where we got the rejection. Also where I placed a short in one of the live streams. We got the rejection. I got stopped out with profits. We flipped it into support, so this level can still hold together with the 8-hour order block. So it's still an interesting bouncing zone for a potential long. So for it's now the camp of people that believe that we're going to $85,000 and we're just going to continue up from here. This is a very interesting longing opportunity because you want to take that high for the bulls. You want to invalidate the fractal. A little bit further down, the only other areas of confluence, but you're basically taking this low, is a daily level and a weekly level, where I will basically be looking for a swing failure from that pivot. Okay, you dip below, you get acceptance back above, because this can still form an A, a B, and a C to the upside. I know that is a scenario that could still play out. You have your impulse and you can create an A, B, C. Three-wave structure, just a longer corrective structure for the impulse. Still looking for a short, but also looking for a long. And that is basically my trading plan here on the smaller time frame. Not much else to say over here, guys, and I will zoom in now to the 15-minute time frame and we can just discuss this little local structure here to the upside. But before I do, let me go through some more comments just to see what everyone is saying. Okay. I waited until price fell down and created a lower high and only shorted then. Yeah, I mean, you have to follow your rules, and if that's your rules for your strategy, beautiful, man. I hope you made a lot of money. Okay, for the second chance to get in the short, the highs of yesterday, did you see how bullish CVD was then? Yes, KJS trading, I did see the bullish CVD. Where's my CVD? Here we go. So let me just refresh this, make sure that everything is nice and fresh. I am testing this tool out. For those of you that don't know, this is a new CVD tool that our development team has developed for us. So I am testing it out and so far so good. Okay, but yesterday with this little drop here to the downside, you can see that CVD absolutely tanked and it built these bullish CVD. Okay, when price was falling here to the downside, even when price was falling here, bullish CVD played out, you claimed the high. And now with price falling here to the downside, it's creating more bullish CVD. But what's now interesting, you have to remember that local CVD always takes priority over larger time frame CVD. Okay, so if you zoom into the smaller structure here, okay, looking at this local structure, you can see that there's bearish CVD forming here. Locally, there's bearish CVD still pushing the price to the downside. So you need to have local CVD supporting the larger time frame CVD. Okay, because you have bullish CVD between this pivot and this pivot and that pivot and that pivot, you can see the lines there, guys. You do have bullish CVD. But local CVD is not supporting the bullish CVD. Local CVD is at the moment still supporting this bearish CVD running here to the downside. So for me, from a trading perspective, it's always way more important to look at what local CVD is doing compared to the larger CVD. So it's a little bit of a mix here at the moment. You can see the market is a little bit indecisive, and it could be because of the high impact news that's coming out in a couple of hours. So maybe price is just going to range and, chop around in the zone until the news comes out, and then it will find direction. Okay, so back here onto the 15-minute time frame, I can actually delete that order block. I don't need it anymore. Now I want to discuss this little local structure. And remember to smash up the like button if you haven't done so already. Okay, if you're not subscribed to the channel, this is where we do pure technical analysis. Mr. Osrin would be another godly bearish thing time. I will go check the godlies now. Mr. Osrin likes the godly patterns, which, by the way, the one that he identified here in the live stream played out to perfection. Okay, can't wait for the new CVD script. It's not a script, it's an actual site. Okay, it's freshly built. But yeah, it's going to be amazing, guys. I'm testing it out, and we'll do some announcements around it very soon. Bearish divergence on the 15-minute time frame. Yes, it's a little bit of a mix at the moment. There's a little bit of bearish and bullish CVD, but the local CVD is supporting the bearish CVD at the moment. So price could still chop here to the downside. Fantastic, good luck. One of fantastic technical channels. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate the comment. Much love. And it's, you know, I like to I pride myself in saying that, you know, this is where we do education. This is where I teach people how to trade technicals. Okay, I specifically set my alarm to 3:30 a.m. to catch a live deal with Ice Cube. Wow, that's dedication. I hope I am entertaining enough to keep you awake. Okay, you're not going to fall back asleep. Let's aim for 150 likes. I have already smashed up the like button over here, but let's get back here into the technical analysis. For now, based on CVD, okay, and the structure, it does look like downwards momentum is in order. Okay. So let's clean up the levels over here. I just want to take all the levels out, and I just want to talk about this little structure here to the upside. Okay. So guys, like I've said, now this can be a 5-wave structure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can count an impulse here. This can still form a larger corrective structure. Okay, where it forms an A, a B, and a C. But it still aligns with my trading plan. Whether it does this and then rejects, whether it first comes down, then goes up and then rejects. Okay, I'm looking for a swing from this low, and I'm looking for a short from that daily level and naked point of control at the 0.786 when you take a fib from the high to the low, because this can still morph into a larger corrective structure. This little tippy top did hit the minimum time requirement. Remember what I said yesterday in the live stream, ladies and gentlemen, is that when you take a time fib from the start to the end, and I told everyone it is not time to short yet. When we made that little, because this is where I did the live stream. When price did that, I said, guys, it's not time yet for me to look for an aggressive short. But now that top was made after my minimum requirement. So now it becomes, and this is why this short to me was way more interesting than this one. I told everyone, you can play the short, but treat it as a scalp. Because as price fell down here, you built bullish CVD and you claimed the high again. So the target for the bullish CVD played out. Now you can see why time for me is so important. Okay. Right, so just quickly wanted to discuss that, but there's also a way, okay, I can count this as an A. Maybe you get a B flat. You don't have to create a B flat, and that's why I'm saying you can bounce in that order block as well and create a 3-wave structure. Okay, I would like to see this because it's easier for me to trade. I like flat structures where the B takes the low and the C takes the high. It's an easier structure for me to trade from a technical perspective. If it makes a B here and then bounces, it's usually not an easy trade for me to get in. It's also sometimes not a trade that I'm interested in. If price bounces here and moves up, I'm more interested in the short. If price falls down, claims the low, then I'm very interested in the longs because it's a better risk to reward trade. If I short here, there's the potential to take the low. It's a better risk to reward trade for me. That's just how I like to trade. Okay, if you want to scalp, by all means. Now, I want to quickly discuss to say that, well, there is also a chance that this little local structure is done. Okay, so let's look at this structure here on the 15-minute time frame. I know it looks a little bit daunting. Let me just clean it up. remember on the higher time frame where I told everyone WXY, where did it reject? I feel like the classroom's going to say, Deerwold, the 786. Okay, because on the larger time frame, I've told everyone, where did price find its feet? Where did it reject? Where did the previous WXY reject? Well, I can count this as an A, B, C in a W, a X in a triangle, and another A, B, C to finish up your Y wave. Sorry guys, I just have to take this quickly. Just give me a second. They're delivering something to my house, so I just need to open the gate for them. Sorry about that. Okay. And I just need to send a message. They are here. Okay. Sorry about that. Sorry guys. You know, sometimes life happens, right? So there is a way for me to count a completed WXY to the upside. So this could be the end. WXY, which corrected this impulse. Okay, this impulse is already corrected in a WXY, and now you're going to build impulses to the downside. What you would like to see is, because I can see a 5-wave structure here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, however you want to count it, but basically you want to form a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 impulsive structure to the downside. This can also be a wave A. Okay, because a WXY can give you an A wave, which means that this needs to be a flat. So maybe this is your A, your B, and your C to the downside, but you can see why I'm looking for a long down here. That daily level, that weekly level that we have here, I'm still looking for a long because I know this can form or morph into a larger corrective structure. And after this long, there's a good chance you take the high. So there's a chance that you can count this as a WXY. And for the bulls, well, this is how you, this is what I'm watching at the moment for the bulls. Because I know that there's a lot of bullish people watching, you know, still talking about the $85,000 area. And this is where it needs to happen. You should not claim the lows. You want the structure to be a bullish structure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is part of an A, B, C. Maybe C ended over there. It doesn't really matter where you put your C, but you now only have a 3-wave structure in an ABC. Okay, and I told everyone that that low was made before my minimum requirement. So once you have a 3-wave structure, you can then label it a W, you can label it a X. Okay, this could be a W. Maybe you formed your X over here, and now you go down for an A, B, C and a Y. And then this is where price then bounces back to the upside and you continue. So it's still very interesting also to look for longs, because in the bullish case scenario, the bulls, the bears, the bulls should not claim this low. And in a nutshell, that is what I'm basically looking at, guys. Remember, if you want to be part of the community where I share all of these updates, and, you know, when I do enter trades, I share that inside. You know, I just share basically personally what I'm doing from a trading perspective. If you want to be part of the community, DM me the word access. I've also pinned it here in the comment section. There's my Telegram, and I'll send you the instructions on how to join the community. There's a couple of ways in which you can join the community. Okay. So if you want more information, DM me there. Also, guys, I got messages from people saying, yeah, on the live stream yesterday, Deerwold, I've sent you a message, I never got a response. What if? Please just send me a message again, because sometimes I, by accident, read the message and I just lose it, okay? So if you have sent a message before and you still want to get in, just send me another message, okay? So it marks it as unread and I can pay attention to those. And that is where myself and Andy share all of our, you know, updates during the day. We've got a coach in there that does altcoin analysis. We've got a team of people that does research from a fundamental perspective, basically looking at all the news on X, and they summarize it into a nice little article. There's a lot going on inside of the community. And that is where I also spend most of my time, is inside of the community. Okay, how long? Long. Right, 85k, haha. Yes, Jarun. For the moment, there's just nothing that supports 85k. So it's going to have to be a miracle, guys. It really is going to have to be a miracle. And I'm not saying it can't happen. So please just understand when I say that on the larger time frames, on the local time frames, the fact that we, guys, it's just looking at the technicals here at the moment. Okay, yeah, on the 1 hour time frame, price got back inside of the range. That is not a bullish sign. You made a lower high, price is back beneath the value area high. So where the bounce for the bulls needs to happen is, yeah, this is where the bounce needs to happen. You do not want to lose the point of control where the most amount of volume was traded. So if the bulls have any chance, you want price to bounce, yeah, without taking the low. Because once price starts trading below the point of control, that is a bearish sign. So this is, but the $68,000 zone, that is where the bulls really need to defend. But there's nothing bullish about the price action at the moment yet. Okay, and I'm not saying it can't happen, guys, but I'm trying to show you both sides of the coin. From a bearish perspective, you are back inside of the range, increasing the probabilities of coming to take the bottom of the range. On the daily time frame, okay, the trend is down. You're still making lower highs and lower lows. The trend is your friend until the end, and there's no reversal at the moment. You have to actually claim that high before there's any reversal, or at least break the trend. At least show that the bulls wants to start reversing the price. Price is still very far away from there. So technically, the bears are still in control. Not because I want them to be in control, it's just what the technicals are telling us at the moment. So for the bulls, you know which level you need to defend. This is the zone that needs to be defended. When I switch on my stuff, okay, yeah, maybe you sweep these lows. It would be good. We do have that 8-hour order block over there, but I know sometimes you dip below, you grab the liquidity, but it still holds as support. So you basically want to hold this zone. This is the zone that the bulls needs to defend, because you can count this structure as an impulsive structure.